School violence, lower graduation rates, and lower college admittance are the results we are seeing from the lack of emphasis on and importance on school guidance counselors and the many duties associated with their job. As a nation, our students are no longer leading like they were a generation ago, according to the New York Times website Access, January 18, 2013. Our nation is falling behind, and the people who could be doing something about it, the guidance counselors, are getting their hours cut due to struggling school budgets and lack of support. You, as school board members, can make a difference. When I was in high school, I experienced what it's like to have a school counselor that was not supported by the district. Since counseling was an apparently low priority at our small school, the board did not set high standards when hiring. None of the school staff took our counselor seriously, and therefore the perception was that her job must be easy or unimportant. She had limited hours due to budget cuts, so when she was available, she was distracted or busy with something else, so it was almost impossible to get help scheduling classes with questions about college or just to talk. It was noticeable that the student body was suffering in more ways than one because of the state of the guidance department, and this was especially upsetting for me as a psychology major. Because of my high school experience, I have done extensive research on the importance of school counseling, and that's what I will be discussing with you today. I will specifically talk about the roles of guidance counselors, the problems we are having without proper counseling in the schools, and what we can do to solve the problems. So what are the roles of school guidance counselors? Why are they so important? The January 17, 2013 issue of the Orlando Centennial explained that professional school counselors work every day with students, and they play vital roles in the prevention of violence as well as in overall academic performance and graduation rates. Guidance counselors hold multiple roles in the academic setting. Middle and high school counselors help students develop a portfolio, which is very helpful when it comes time for applying for college, scholarships, and jobs. They provide test preparation and write recommendations for applications. A very important part of their job is personal and emotional counseling, which aids in protecting the student body. Guidance counselors in elementary schools focus mostly on teaching children to express their emotions in healthy ways. They talk to children who need separate sessions, and at my elementary school we would have large group and small group guidance sessions every other week. In the older grades of elementary school, counselors help children handle disputes with friends and family and get deeper into addressing personal issues. They implement lessons on resisting drugs and violence before the kids get into high school. High school counselors also lead therapy talk sessions on a daily basis and help those who may be struggling in school or in life in general. This is a vital measure taken to prevent school violence. Counselors are trained psychologists and can recognize serious mental or emotional problems that might arise during therapy talk. As you can see, a counselor's job is very important to the success of the school, so it's hard to understand why anyone would want to cut this position. So why are people cutting guidance departments, and what are the consequences of this? The results of cutting counseling are very real, and these consequences are detrimental to the success of the school and can be potentially very dangerous. Many public schools, especially smaller ones, have undergone major budget cuts in the last couple of years. It is unfortunate to have to cut back on staff anywhere in the school, but many schools are focusing the cuts in on the guidance department because it's not a core class. While this may seem like the logical thing to do, cutting school counselors is much more detrimental than it may appear. Graduation rates have declined significantly because of the lack of guidance that high school students are receiving. The same is true of college applicants. Far fewer students are coming out of high school and applying for college. This is something that needs to change in order for America to have a stable and successful future. The United States is now ranked 14th in education, an area where we used to lead the nations. Incidents like the shooting that took place at Columbine High School are the result of bullying and serious mental and emotional issues. Trained counselors can deal with bullying when it begins and are qualified to recognize when there are serious mental or emotional issues at hand. It is after such tragedies as school shootings or deaths in the community that counselors are needed even more. According to Jonathan Sandoval in the book Conceptualizations and general principles of crisis counseling, intervention, and prevention, school psychologists and other guidance personnel must be prepared for crises in the children's lives. They must be able to anticipate the crises, and they must be prepared to act and find ways to help children master the challenges when they appear. It's time to put our priorities in order. What can be done to solve the problems in the schools? It is very important that we find solutions to these problems so that students can get back to the high standards that used to be upheld, and more importantly, that our schools are kept safe. The major problem is the budget cuts in the schools. And like I said before, while it may make sense to cut counseling because it's not a core class, it's far more detrimental than many other cuts that could be taken. Some things that I noticed in my high school were that multiple teachers would be teaching the same subject, such as Phy Ed. That is somewhere that can definitely be cut down to one teacher. Multiple drama classes, smaller sections of education that are not needed are much less important to the overall school success than guidance counseling, because guidance counseling is protecting the students and helping them develop emotionally and mentally. Another very important part of solving these problems is making sure that hiring is taken very seriously by the school board, which I know that in my case, in my high school experience, that was not the case. And extensive training for the counselors so that the amount of money that's being put into their salary is making it worth it, and that the employees are being taken seriously by the rest of the staff. Today, I explained to you the importance of school guidance counselors in America's schools. We specifically discussed the roles of counselors, the problems in schools due to lack of guidance, and the solutions to those problems. As stated in the New York Times, the solution is clear. We need more funding and attention paid towards school guidance counselors. As members of school boards, it is your responsibility to take action. Hopefully, with a few steps in the right direction, we can turn the future of this nation around and get back on the right track.